Okay. I'm going to do this one, which is, I'm going to put the first one, which is a lack of consultation. Actually, Sean, you can help me do this, because I've got my glasses on. It's going to be all you. Sorry, Sean. I would say that's what I think, I suspect is something that you're angry about. There's been a lack of consultation that's been sprung on you, and you're fed up about that, and you want to know why that's happened, why you weren't consulted more early, and indeed whether or not this consultation is genuine or if it's just a straw doll that we put up in front of you at this point in the process. So I'd like to get perhaps half a dozen or 10 things which are just bullets like that. Not long expositions at this point, I'm happy to have that later on. But just to see, can I get a feeling from you about what are, hands go up. I get it, well, I get it with all lines.
No, that's okay, let me speak first.
Are you sure? Okay, well I'll just go here first. If you can do it kind of pithy, this is it.
I would say, in short verse, that it's advertised as providing the same collegiate experience as we have existing at Ustinov, but in fact it is a much smaller space with fewer facilities and number for student population. So it's actually a detriment to our current.
Can I take 2 points from you then? Can we do lack of facilities and student numbers? Okay, and then I view those as being around concerns around the student community and the operation of the college and its ability to be coherent as a community. Is that right? Okay, yes.
On street bathrooms, which takes away.
Okay, yeah. So, what should we put? Costs, yeah. You've got lack of facilities, that's the on-suite, non-on-suite. I'm going to just work my way through. Yes.
The timeline of the project as a whole.
Okay. Chronology, timeline. Yeah.
So this is being advertised as the third option, or
Yeah.
is to keep any options?
Yeah. Okay. So is it a done deal? Yeah. What is the consultation on?
So this seems to be like the most developed option so far, but
Yeah.
actually are there any other options that can fill the
Other
project,
options?
especially in
Yeah. Other options. Yeah.
I think there's going to be a problem with the kind of noise restrictions that they'll have to be in order to not piss off all the residents in the area. Yeah, application.
Okay. Noise restrictions. Okay. Thanks.
So I'm more excited about access to facilities. At the moment we're only sharing with Josie and Butler, and if we're fobbed off with some local sports, or we might not be able to use that all the time.
Okay. So do you want? How should we do that?
With access.
Okay, great. It's going on. Yes.
transportation.
Transport, great. Transport.
Distance to the site or anything in the city?
Sorry?
Distance to the site.
Distance.
or
Okay, so
anything in the city.
is this site badly located with regard to access to the library, to Durham city centre, to other facilities? Yes, okay. I've been over here once already. Yeah, over here first. Yes.
So transitional arrangements for the Howland site.
Okay, so what's the knock-on consequences on JB? How's it the Queen's campus? You know, if the colleges move here, and then how's that going to work? So the detail of the transition. Yeah. Okay.
It sort of builds on other options that are like keeping this option going through, like there might be other options, but what if this will happen?
Yeah. If this isn't approved, then what? Will this go ahead?
Also, if every student you consult says we don't like this idea, the likelihood of it
I think that's this question about lack of and meaning of consultation in a way. What's actually happening there?
Specifically, why is
Ustinov versus other colleges. Yep.
what happens to each and every single employee of the college that cleaners right up to the ground?
Okay, so staffing issues. Yes.
To what degree is the planning commission flexible with regards to both increasing the facilities and dealing with issues like potentially postgraduates?
Okay, right. So, I mean, we've been planning around student numbers. Is that
They asked the planning commission from the council how the EU and the LG changes.
Okay, great. I'm going to come over. I'm going to do a second cut. You've got to go and put your font size.
I've been thinking how to prevent the isolation from foreign colleges.
Integration.
Yeah.
How that work. Yeah. Okay. That's great. Yep.
Sorry, a second. So in the meeting last week, one of the responses was to the last facilities, in particular, a space for formal dinners
Yeah.
in the gym that we have at the moment.
Yeah.
One of those responses was maybe you could use some of the facilities at the business school.
Yeah.
But we believe there are plans for that to actually be used for these as roadside, so.
Long term, how's this going to work? Yeah. Okay. Very good question. Sean, where do you put that? Somewhere where it is? Yeah, Carl, so we'll pick that up in terms of a lot, because if this goes ahead, we're talking long term, then we've got to make it work like that. Yes.
Welfare issues, because I mean, with isolation and without you guys being able to say for sure that we're going to actually have staff on site,
Yeah.
this presents a lot of welfare issues.
Welfare and staffing issues, we can put those together. Okay.
Social space?
Social space, yeah. Oh, can I put that into facilities? Because I'm going to treat that as part of that.
Along with what Dan said about integration with their colleges, integration with the community, that we form
Yeah.
partnerships and
Okay.
relationships.
The community, yeah, that's really important. Yes.
We've missed off the planning commission.
Planning commission. That can go on there. That's going to be flexibility and, you know, what's our manoeuvrability around where we are, both now but also perhaps going into the future as things move. Yes.
Couples accommodation?
Sorry?
Couple accommodation.
Couple, yeah, families, yeah, okay.
No, not families, couples.
Or couples, yeah, right.
With regard to, it's location based, but how the long-term viability of expansion of the college has been considered and development of the college on that site.
Yeah, okay.
Also issues with licensed halls of residence.
Yeah, bar.
No.
Bar. Yes.
The driving site, is that changing? It's not going to make clear. Yeah.
Sorry.
We keep the driving site that has all of the family, because it's not clear on the.
Yeah, I can just answer that now, yes.
Oh, right, that's
yeah.
it.
So that's yes. Right, yes.
A change in the composition of the student body as regards to academic backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, and socioeconomic
Student
backgrounds.
composition.
Yeah.
College composition. Right. We're getting there now. I'm going to take a few more, then I think that's going to be a really good point of view. Car parking, yeah, okay, car parking. Great. Yeah, and I'll take two more, then I think I've soaked the first round at least, and I've got through for the issues.
To expand on what I think she was trying to say, she meant like ownership of the building, like who's going to control the wireless and access to things of that nature, I think is really.
Also like the amount of lease, like how long is the lease going to last with the provider.
Right.
Secondly, what about the GCR? We have heavily invested in Holland side.
Yeah. Okay.
And are we going to be reimbursed for that?
Okay.
Are we going to get reimbursed for that?
Got it. Okay, so running ownership of building, transfer of investment. So last one please, yeah.
Just in the facilities,
Sorry.
the music room.
Music room.
Yeah.
Right, okay, right, first order issues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, 13. And I would add, I gave the first one, which is what I sensed very clearly both when I was on holiday but when I come back as well, which is you're not happy much about where this is. We've got some way to go to try and progress this into a different space. So I hear that. Okay, right. I'm going to switch from PowerPoint to the other one, but I'm going to come back to this as we go through into the discussion. And at the end of it, I'm going to run through it, and I'm going to ask you to say, right, has Anthony done his best to address those, or are there other things? Has he ducked some of them? I may duck some, but I'll tell you if I'm ducking them. If I am, I'll get back to you with what I think the answer is to those issues, or I'll work with you over the period between now and September 20th to try and address it as best we can. We may not be able to do all of them, but I'll do my best with you. Okay? So,
before you start,
are you?
I'm here.
Yeah.
One of the things council will be very keen on as part of this is how does Durham University present itself in welcoming students from Queens who are coming to the city? Because everyone is members of the university. So that's going to be something that will be very much on our minds about when we're looking at the big picture of how do we make the whole Durham City offering attractive to our students coming over from Stockton.
Well, that might be something we could talk about as we get.
Some of it fits in with those other points, but that was the only thing I could think of that wasn't captured in terms of.
It's a critical thing. You know, our Queen's colleges are moving 24 miles they're leaving their places. They've gone through a transition. When they were set up, I don't know if everyone knows this, but when the Queen's Colleges were established, they were halls of residence. They were set up as halls of residence, not as colleges. And there was a period of time, several years, when they were halls of residence. And then we went through a process some people have referred to as Durhamisation, when progressive investment took place to try and enhance the student experience around halls of residence, to make them into functioning colleges, which are on a par with what we have at Durham University, Durham City as it is. Those colleges developed a particular unique identity in terms of where they were, with that history around them. So it's a really important point, because I think the Queen's Colleges have been through a different journey in some ways, literally, but also in terms of how they developed over time in our other university colleges.
But they have made fantastic colleges.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Based on the people.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's how the people who use them.
Yeah. Okay, so context of the proposal then. I want to spend a bit of time talking to you about why on earth is this happening? Because I think some of you have probably got an understanding about all the developments which are going on within the university strategy. I want to make sure you can see where this fits in that broader picture. So, first of all, the university's been working over the last year, last year or so, a bit more, developing a new academic strategy, which is a 10-year programme, 2017 to 2027. It's an academic strategy and a university strategy. And the aspirations, in short, are that we are world-class in terms of our education, in terms of our student experience, and in terms of our research and our engagement. And those are the three pillars, if you like, of what we're trying to do in the university over the next 10 years. Now, in order to do that, we want to invest significantly in facilities for all of our students and for all of our staff. This isn't just about undergraduates versus postgraduates. It's about staff, different types of staff, research staff versus teaching staff and so on. This is about investing in facilities which are of benefit for everybody to try and make this a really world-class university in terms of our education, our student experience, and our research engagement. So we are doing that, or we're funding that, partly by growing student numbers. I don't need to tell you, you're paying to be here. You pay your accommodation, you pay your tuition fees. And that tuition fee income enables us to invest in our facilities and in our staff and in our students. Okay? Now, many of our competitor universities have, over the last 5 years or more, been growing very quickly. You probably all know, probably before you came here, they've been in a university which was going through a period of significant expansion. Some universities have grown by 10, 20% or more in terms of their student numbers. Now, we have done really haven't. We haven't had the big jump once the cap on student number growth was taken off a few years ago. We could grow pretty large, pretty quickly, because a lot of people want to come here. A lot of bright, well-qualified students want to come to Durham University. So we've got an idea of how much we could grow, but we don't want to grow just for growth's sake. We want to grow with an end in mind. And that end in mind is the delivery of world-class education, student experience, and research and engagement. We don't have to fill the whole city with students to do that, because there will be negative effects if we grow too big, too quickly, and in areas which are not suitable for growth. So our projected student number growth over the next decade is about 4,000 new students into the university. About 4,000 new students into the university. Now in Durham City, because the Queen's campus colleges are moving to Durham City, that is about 1,700 students. So 4,000 plus 1,700 makes 6,000 each. There's some wiggle room there, because we've left a bit of space for us to do other things if we need to. I'm not that bad at maths. But we're looking at about 6,000. Now, if I put that in context, since about 1980, 1990, if you look at the growth in student numbers at Durham, this is a continuation of that trend. We're not accelerating, we're not decelerating, we're pretty much on trend. Because I know there's some concerns in the student community about, are we going to grow too fast? Why are we having this extra growth? Why are we doing this? Is this going to destroy the city? When I was a student here, I dug out, before today, I dug this out of my attic, which is the prospectus for Durham University in 1985, which is when I was applying here. And it's a great read. You weren't here as Graduate Society Ustinov, of course. You're not here at all in terms of the Queen's campus colleges. As I say, I mean, the other colleges here are minute, and our student number was 5,000. We had fewer postgraduates in the university then than the entire Ustinov College. We were a very, very much smaller university. And I'm saying that because that's a measure of how much the university has changed and how it has accommodated growth, how it's expanded its facilities, how it's built new colleges, how colleges have moved, yourself included, over time. And I'm using that to really emphasise the fact that over the long term, it's not that long, I'm old, I know, but I'm not that old, over the time in which we are members of this university and continue to be as we become alumni, the university evolves and changes. Now, there's no doubt, although we've got our student number growth is not far off what we've been doing in kind of what I call background business as usual, we are going to embark on some quite significant changes in terms of our estate. And that's because we haven't really invested in our estate in as much as we should. There's a gap opening up in terms of us compared to our competitors, in terms of the quality of our estate. Both our residential estate, anyone from Hillbead? I saw a Hillbeadian here. Yes? Yeah. Your estate's lovely in many ways, but some of the accommodations are pretty poor in others. Some of who else has got some gripes about their accommodation? No, I won't ask that question, we'll be here all night. So we know, yeah, I guess some hands moving. So we know we've got, both in the colleges, but also in the academic estate, issues around the quality of what we've got. And that affects our ability to attract the best students and the best staff to Durham University. We've got a backlog maintenance around repairing our facilities, which we've not really got on top of for some time. So we've got to deal with that. The programme, good evening. The programme then that we've got here, or which we're developing, is, I'm using the word transformation, because I think it is. It's a transformational programme that will impact on every member of the university, every single member of the university. Be you staff or be you students, this will impact all of you. Okay? Now, that means we need help to deliver this from all of you, everyone outside, students, and from all of our staff, because this will impact on all of us. And we're going to be doing this in a city where we are a very important player in the city, and we've got to be respectful of our position within the city and change in a way which is sympathetic to how the city operates. We've got to be acutely aware of that as well. So the first phase of the plan then is already underway. Lower 2016, we're already making some of the early steps in the plan. And the move of Queen's campus colleges to Durham City, the relocation of the academic programmes was approved earlier this year by University Council and is now underway. And that's no small programme. Queen's campus is 2,200 students. It's 250 or so, maybe more, staff, 4 large departments, and the School of Medicine, Pharmacy and Health is moving to Newcastle University, moving the entire university from Durham University. So, as I say, we're looking to repurpose Queen's campus by establishing the International Foundation College there, but this is a very big set of changes which is happening at the start of the new academic strategy. But there are other things which are going to come too. Oops, I'll get them on. Okay, so I'll come on to that in a moment. So, what about this initial student number growth? How are we going about doing it? Well, we're being careful, as I said, we're not just filling our boots with student numbers. We're identifying carefully selected student subject areas where demand for high quality students is good. Where we've got, we're looking to expand in areas which will deliver real benefits in terms of our aspiration for world-class learning, education, student experience. Subject areas, well, these are the ones which are in the front line to have significant student number growth, particularly early in the cycle. Maths, English, history, school of government, international affairs, law, and the business school. Those are I think, the main subject areas which are going to have significant student number growth as we go on from here. Okay, now to enable this, we need new Durham City beds for our students, for Durham City growth, those 4,000 that I talked about, and also for the Queen's campus colleges which are moving back here. So I think it's important we bear that in mind, that the discussions we're having today around possibly Ustinov moving to Sheraton is not just about Queen's campus students. This is about the university student number growth as well as Queen's campus students. Okay? So what is this consultation about then? And I've had various correspondence with students who have said, you know, what is this consultation? In fact, this was raised as one of your issues. You know, what is this consultation about? Well, we took an outline business case to University Council 2 weeks ago around a proposal to try and provide these new part of the need for new student number beds around using Sheraton Park and Ustinov moving there. So we are consulting on that at the moment. That's what this is about. We're consulting on that proposal to relocate Ustinov College to Sheraton Park for us to enter into an agreement with a private developer on a 25-year nominations agreement. That's what this is about. We're seeking views on how that can be best achieved to maximise the student experience for all concerned. Okay? And we'll report to Council on September the 20th. No decision, can I just finish the slide now? No decision has been made. No decision has been made, other than Council asking us to develop a full business case for its consideration on the 20th of September. So Council will take a decision whether to proceed with this option or not. If Council say no, then we will need to bring forward other proposals which we will then consult on and which we will then develop a proposal, a preferred proposal from, and take that to University Council in another iteration of the process, because we are going to need to find an answer to this. Okay, I can take questions now, or I can run through this and take them at the end. What would you like?
I'm sorry, I'm waiting for her to tap by basket. Thank you. I have two questions. My first one is, it's very difficult for me to see the statement that there's a proposal to relocate Ustinov College, and then it's followed by a statement saying that you're seeking views on how this proposal can be best achieved. So the views that you're seeking here tonight, this consultation, is about that move of Ustinov College. But what I think many of us here, if not all of us here, would really like to be consulted about is the relocation going to happen or not? Not what will that relocation look like? And,
but you please stop using the word preferred.
Okay.
There's only one proposal on the table at the time. There's no preference.
I'll come on to the other options which we consider as part of Council reaching that decision.
But the words like that, they seem like management speak.
What would you suggest?
Just don't use the word, because it's not necessary.
Okay, the option, I'll do my best to say, well, it's not an option then. The proposal. I'll say the proposal. Okay.
Just a quick technical question. When you say you're reporting this to the council, that report, will it simply be your, as in the case you developed on your side, or will it include the arguments against it from the students?
It will be the latter. So what I will do as part of this is, what we did on the Queen's Campus consultation is there's an online questionnaire, and there was feedback from a whole series of town meetings and focus group meetings that we had. And that was all produced in a report, which I shared with the student body, and which was submitted as part of the case, which was then taken to council on that occasion. I mean, I'm looking to a council member here.
I mean, that's partly why I'm here today, because we didn't want to listen to those arguments.
The question being whether that report will be available to us to look through before you present it to the council, so that we could then make a representation directly to the council if necessary, if we felt the report didn't accurately represent our views.
The process whereby that report will be developed is the same process whereby we have.
I looked online and you said it was a linear growth in student numbers. And so I plotted it because the statistics are online. It's not linear.
Okay. I can't see that now, but we can share some student number growth.
Send that to the video.
Well, hang on, right? If we're going to do that, and if we're doing this in this way, can we try and be balanced about this? Okay, we look really carefully about student number growth. When I say that over the period of strategy, over the 10-year period, that growth is broadly online with what's happened over the last 2 decades, we can have a look at that, and I'll show you why I've reached that conclusion. That graph was shared with University Council, and University Council had sight of that as part of the decision which was taken around student number growth. So I'm very happy to do that. Okay, I'm just trying to take a little bit of detail out of this, right? So, okay, you can knock that up there, and I fully respect you doing that. Let's have a talk about that and put the numbers together, and then see why there seems to be a mismatch between how you're seeing it and how we're seeing it. Okay. I do want to crack on with this, or we will get other issues.
This meeting on the 20th of September,
yeah.
Will you be presenting reports on all the options equally thoroughly?
No, that report is to present a full business case on this option. Now, as part of that, we will summarise the feedback which we've had from you and other constituents around that proposal. Okay? If council are not persuaded by that, council will charge us, I expect, I don't know, they'll say go away and work up other things.
Do we know roughly, again this is just tech press, but roughly what the period of consideration from the council would be once you presented that report? Would it be a vote on the day, or like in 2 weeks sort of thing, or what?
Really, well, shall I answer that?
Probably better.
It really depends what the view of council is of the report. So if we're satisfied that by interrogation of Anthony, by representations, because the student union is represented as a member of council.
Oh, the student union will have an opportunity potentially for us to present the voice against it.
Yeah,
it won't be an unopposed proposal.
Can I make a suggestion? What I would like to see happen is I would like to see your Ustinov president present at council. Okay? That's what I would like to see happen. And I expect we will do that.
We often have we've had for other things.
There's no question of us trying to say, okay, I'm here listening to you, but actually, I don't think the monkeys, I'm going to write something up which just ignores you. This will happen. This will happen, and I will do everything I can to ensure that your views are heard at the top table, which will be at that council meeting. If you're doing that, you'll have that opportunity to do that.
But you understand why we feel like that might be a possibility when we're running the report?
I do understand that, yes. Yeah, that's why I'm here.
On a similar note, will the other colleges who are affected be able to present?
We'll have to think about that. And when we did the Queen's, both the Queen's colleges were represented and were able to speak. I'll have to take some standings on that. Will depend on how the business runs. I am talking, Adrian, we talked about this. We've not gone out in detail at the moment with your college on an individual basis, but that's something we'll have to talk about.
I do think it's really important that we understand that there are 4 colleges affected here.
Yeah.
Stone and Stevenson, I've only got a couple of representatives here.
Yeah.
They too are going to be affected by this. I think their voice needs to be heard.
I-
Butler's affected as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think it should be heard.
So I think if the councillors, we're going to have to think quite carefully about how those views are captured.
And of course it'll be our job to balance the views.
Yeah.
And about the competing pressures on
I can take one more question now and then I'm going to move on. I'm going to go over here, just because of how the questions have come. Now I'm going to move if I can, please, yes.
It's just, I think, a quite quick question of how can you say that no decision has been made when the other options that have been presented on the link that you emailed out literally they were rejected?
Yeah. No decision on
one option.
Yeah. That's correct. No decision has been taken on this proposal. We took a decision to proceed with this to a full business case. We have done that, or council has done that. This consultation is on this proposal. I want to be really clear about that, because I think there's been some ambiguity that this is a kind of everything goes. I'm going to move now, please. I'm trying to be as reflective as I can be with you, but I want to get through this so that we can address some other issues. The university, in terms of what's going to happen, we've been looking at what our other universities are providing in terms of student accommodation and in terms of student experience. There's York, which has gone through a very big expansion of their Islington site. This is Edinburgh University at the Holyrood site, where they've been developing new residential accommodation and new catering provisioning, large self-catering as an alternative model to the type of more standard postgraduate community catering which we have in Durham, for example. We've been looking at that. Other universities are investing very big time in terms of student experience, as well as in their academic facilities. This was dated the 15th of July, so a couple of months ago. Newcastle University investing 30 million in their sports programme. State-of-the-art sports facilities, launching a new sport and exercise science group. So that's not alone. If we look across the higher education sector, we look at the other Russell Group universities, which we're obviously part of, there's significant investment taking place in the estate to deliver really good student experience, education and research. We're on the Estate Strategy Programme Board, we are looking at other ways in which we're going to develop new teaching facilities and new student facilities. So we're looking at what's kind of best practice. You know, Loughborough University, this kind of tiered lecture theatre, which is difficult for you to do discussion as well as having standard point and shoot lecturing like I'm doing with you. They're developing an alternative layout to that. Coventry, they've got a student hub where these pods are places where students can book and go in and have spaces for social interaction and for peer-to-peer learning to take place. The Y factor, I've put this in just because it's a very wacky extreme end scenario, how you can use staircases for things. That's a lecture theatre when it's not being sat on, or there are meeting rooms underneath it. And my favourite, one of these new teaching facilities is the Melbourne School of Design in Australia, which is a wonderful space which has been designed around the students to maximise the student experience, the opportunities for peer-to-peer learning, catering provision around really high-quality teaching facilities. I'm going to move if I can, please. I know your hand's there, but I'll take it as we go through. That's all right, please. I don't want to be rude. Okay, so can I give you a feeling of the scale of change that we're embarking on, or we're looking to embark upon? I'm going to show, this is a view of Main Castle in probably 5-6 years' time, if we were able to get it right. So the car park is over here, this is the river and the bridge. The existing Maiden Castle is here. There is a proposal which we're looking to set up a new sports hall, a large new sports hall, refurbishing all of this to give proper facilities for changing and etc. associated with growth in student numbers. Tennis courts, which we haven't covered, tennis courts which we haven't got, new rubber crumb pitches and so on to expand provision. New boathouse provision, including for the Queen's colleges when they move here. It's a very important thing. And also, we're going to grow new colleges in Durham. And those colleges themselves are going to need new facilities. And alongside this, in Hollow Drift, going around towards Green Lane, there's a plans for a phase 2 investment in the sports facilities. In terms of the science site, where we are now, give you an idea of some of the scales of change which are being thought about. We are in the Cowman here, the Cowman Lecture Theatre. There's the main library, that's the Union Pub, and this is South Road. We are going to be moving 2 departments, maths and chemistry, or likely to be moving maths and chemistry from their existing site here up to Upper Mountjoy. I'll show you that in a moment, to create a new science park in Upper Mountjoy. Do I see some chemists smiling at the back? No? Mathematicians here. You're over here, okay.
Where did the psychology department go?
Psychology, I'll show you in a moment. Okay. One of the biggest changes here, don't worry, one of the most important things, one of the things which you may most likely see, are proposals to establish a large new teaching facility with fully embedded student facilities on the Mary's Plain pitch site, which is going to be just on the other side here. And that's going to be a very large facility with new lecture theatres, new catering facilities, new study space for students on the Lower Mountjoy site. We go to Upper Mountjoy, there's psychology, it's still there, don't worry. We will put some investment into psychology to enable the relocation of the department from Queen's campus. We're going to, we want to establish a combined teaching laboratory which will bring together the departments of psychology, together with maths and chemistry, biological sciences, to give real state-of-the-art teaching laboratory space, which will be of use to all of those students. Can I finish this bit, please?
I'd just like to put up all of those different sciences required in the facilities.
Yes, yeah. And so we, interestingly, I've been travelling around looking at combined teaching facilities, combined teaching laboratory facilities. Liverpool University have got a very successful combined teaching facility where they operate on a floor basis, recognising that different subjects have got different needs in terms of what they have, but there's some common things which can be provided as well, and some synergies which can happen through co-teaching in a similar space. So then, up about Joy is a very large site, as you know. Maths will be moving up here, chemistry will be moving up here, we'll have some teaching facilities. Our thoughts at the moment is this will become a science park, if you like, around those subjects. There'll be a change in the route, in the traffic flow through here, hopefully connecting out onto South Road as well to make a dual connection. Then, if I take you down to Elvert, this is, well, there are two things here. First of all, we are looking at Dunelm House. Dunelm House is not particularly attractive place now for the Derbyshire Student Union. We're looking to redevelop that and New Elvert into, I mean, this is just a massing study to see what we can do, but that whole area will be redeveloped. We're exploring the potential to establish a cultural hub in this area. And then on where the swimming baths, those of you know where the old swimming bath site is, we're at the moment in the process of negotiations with Durham County Council to purchase the swimming bath site. We own the swimming bath site, a little square on the front here next to Glass Bridge. We own all of this site here. We're looking to develop that as a new teaching facility in that area of the town. And you can imagine this redevelopment taking place, providing some really fantastic facility, potentially with a performance space for music and for the arts, possibly with music relocating along with that as well. And then if we cross over Glass Bridge onto the fantastic Leazes Road site, before we have fencing taking place here, there are a number of options which we will consider around there, which range from basically taking Hillbead and investing in Hillbead to upgrade the accommodation which is there and the other accommodation, putting an academic facility alongside a renovation to that, and or putting potentially a student college on there. So a massing study, I see photographs here going off. You're going to shower them around the university, fine, do that. But I'm going to speak now and make it very clear that these are massing studies, these are not plans. This is us looking at what is the possibilities as part of a master plan on which we're going to be consulting within the university over the coming months as a supporting material to go with how we're going to deliver the new academic programme. And then on Green Lane, so this is where Cuts are, in fact where Ustinov College was, or parts of Ustinov College was, when Groundshot was here. In Green Lane we have an area which we have potential to establish a new college on the end of Green Lane, and this is the Hollow Drift area where phase 2 of the sports provision may take place. Up on getting closer to home where you are at the moment at Howlands, you know about the developments at Mount Oswald, where we have outlined planning permission for 1,000 beds in this location. These are the other developments which have got planning approval in terms of residential housing to take place. There's a business school just on the top of that. Okay, I'll take a question now. Was there a pressing question on some of that?
I'm just wondering what time this meeting ends.
We have many questions.
And the event closes.
I'm rattling through it. Okay, now I'm on to the quick stuff. I'm slow here because I've taken 15 minutes of questions to the middle part of it.
Well, yeah, it's also worth noting, just shows us the entire serious amount of detailing of plans for the new university. You know, what struck me most was that we weren't on the site we're supposedly moving to was on none of those maps. Except for this final one, yes.
Yeah.
So bringing this into, you can show all of those things without containing the area in which our college was. I'll show you the isolation of the site.
Well, no, if I go back to here, that's difficult to show on that without losing the detail. If I go on this, that's difficult to show without losing the detail.
Yeah, exactly.
If I go on this, it's difficult to show without showing the detail.
Yes, because you need to be close to all of the facilities to see them.
Okay, that's a point which was raised earlier on. That was a point raised at the outset, and I'll come and talk to that in a moment. Okay. I'm going to move through because I know there's a lot of questions and I want to deal with them again. I don't want to be filibustering you out. I'm expecting to finish at 7:40. Alright, so we have We have 45 minutes to go. If you let me, I'll rattle through this and we'll go to questions. Okay, PBSAs, purpose-built student accommodation, are going up in Durham City. There is planning permission already for around 3,000 beds in the private market. The pink, or whatever, these kind of flesh-coloured circles are the PBSAs. This is Sheraton Park over here. Berenston Laundry is off here. That's the hospital site. That's Castle up on the Giles Gate, and we move out in this direction. So PBSAs are going up around the city. Some of these PBSAs we may be interested in working with, but some of them we won't be. Sheraton Park is one that we are interested in potentially working with. Now, why is that? Well, you'll have seen this in the previous presentation. This is how Sheraton Park is expected to look when it's completed. Sheraton Park with Neville House and a new build Sheraton here, looking in a northerly direction. Previously a licensed hall of Durham University for around 50 years or so before it became a new college, and then was sold and became derelict a number of years ago. Right, negotiations. Why have we not consulted with you? And you've had some of this before, so I hope now I'm coming in to address some of the issues which you've raised. What is the interest in this to a developer of Durham University being involved with them? Well, from a developer's point of view, Durham University partnering with them gives them certain things which are of value. We have a name which is highly respected. We bring students who are very well, who are excellent. We have got responsible students. We've got, they get security in terms of knowing that they will be able to fill their accommodation. So if we partner, there is significant value to the private provider in terms of how this operates. This may be one of these things where I would stop this in terms of what I'm going to say. Frankly, when we started this process, this Sheraton Park was just a halls of residence. It was not anything which we started at the beginning. Do I believe a bar is important? Yes, I do. Do I think we need to have sports facilities? Yes, I do. I get what it is to be an undergraduate and a postgraduate in a college at Durham University. Okay, so what options have we considered prior to this point? There are three. There are others that we looked at. They are framed by the need in the university strategy, and that's why I started with talking about student number growth, the need in that strategy to deliver significant numbers of new beds into Durham City, ideally self-catered beds, because that's what you are telling us you want, or the undergraduates are telling us. So three options that we've talked about in the paper, which is on the information that we put out online, but also in the draft business case. We could scatter the Queen's students across many colleges. Queen's students could come up and we could put them into all the other colleges and displace existing students in those colleges for a period of time until we get alternative accommodation sorted out. And we felt that was a bad idea because it would break up the Queen's colleges as they come back. And one of the things we were very mindful of during the transition planning for Queen's was to retain, as far as we possibly can, the college ethos and identity during that transition, recognising that Durham will not be Stockton. We could put a Queen's College direct into Sheraton Park. That was one of the proposals, or one of the options, sorry, I got my language right, which was considered by council. But there are concerns around that. The planning regulations says 60% underground. Apologies about that number. 60%. It's been confusing tracking through the various planning permissions which are granted. The Sheraton Park scheme is designed around accommodation which is suitable for postgraduates on a 51-week length. And everything we've heard from the local residents is that there would be a preference for postgraduates rather than necessarily a large number of undergraduates on that site. The third proposal, third option, which is the proposal which is here, is around relocating Ustinov to Sheraton. We think there are excellent facilities if we get them right. It would release 600 self-catered beds into the Durham student market, and that's a very big help in terms of our key drivers around this. And it's a cost-effective way to enable...
I'm sorry, but how would that release...
Sorry, can I...
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, can I just finish? I won't interrupt you when you're speaking. I'll take a question as we're doing it, but we're trying to do this in a reasonably calm way. It will be a cost-effective way for us to help deliver the new academic strategy? Yes.
It's not true. It's not going to release 600 certificated beds.
Why is that?
Because
How many beds are on the site?
418.
No, but saying 400 use will become available.
Yeah, you can become available, but that's not going to increase the total number of beds more than
It creates 600 beds.
we create 418 or 418 on the site. We've only got beds to use now.
The site as a whole is 1,000 beds.
We were told 418.
The site as a whole. So how is
No, how, sorry. Yeah, how the confusion is, where are the 600 new beds coming from as over the 418 that you're physically creating by having a Sheraton site exist?
You're right. Ustinov is 400 and whatever. Ustinov is 600 beds. Okay. So what I mean is those beds become available
effectively by evicting.
We're not evicting. Sorry, we're not evicting. Okay. What are the changes? Have you seen any of these?
Yes.
Do you want me to talk to these at all?
I haven't seen it.
No. Yes or no? Yes. Okay. When we started, I don't know if you saw the start plans for this is Neville House. Start plans had a social area which was relatively small and which was constrained by some of the pillars which come through the building, which broke up the space. So what we've done is we've been working to try and come up with a social space which is 232 square metres in internal floor area, which is pro rata the same size, allowing for a reduction in the number of residential students from what is currently on the Howland site. So we went through a number of iterations with Glenn and senior staff, and indeed at a late point with the students, around how might we reconfigure this into a better way. And what we've been able to do is come up with something which gives a gym, which gives a large communal area on the south face and opening out onto a courtyard area, which has got what will be a cafe bar, I'll come on to that into a minute, and other space which will be available for use by the college. I get a bar matters to a college community. We all do. I say we all do. I know about a third or so of students don't drink anymore, but nevertheless, that space provides provides an important social hub for the college. It's really critical for identity. The proposed bar or cafe bar, our hope, our intention, is that it will be located in the new social space. I know at the last meeting, a member of the public spoke and said, over my dead body will that take place? I don't know if any of that individual's here in the room.
She is a member of the London Council.
Okay, so I'll probably have an opportunity to speak to her later this evening.
Yes.
Okay, so what's our intent is that there will be a licensed bar provided on site. We will apply for a club license from Durham County Council. We can't do that at the moment because we're not the named people responsible for the site, because we have not reached an agreement such that we become that. We've met with Durham County Council. I've personally met with Durham County Council. We've spoken to the licensing group and they are positive, but of course it's subject to us putting an application which will be consulted on with the residents of the Sheraton Park area. We are in discussion with the residents. Sean and I are going there after this. We expect them also to be positive because look at it from a resident's point of view. They've got a choice between having an unlicensed, unregulated or non-Durham operated college where students are drinking off-site potentially or bringing a drink on-site versus having a postgraduate community which is well established, which is responsible and which has got a proven track record of behaving extremely well in a neighbourly manner on its current site.
How can you expect them to be positive? We literally had, you said so, we had someone at the last meeting from the Residents Association who said without a doubt.
Yeah, so I've spoken, or we have spoken also to the current elected county council, the county councillor, or ward councillor, I need to get the levels right. And they totally get where we're coming from on this. So what we've got to do is weigh up one voice against a number of voices, and ultimately this will come down to whether or not the planning authority, the licensing authority, think that the grounds for the application are justified or not in the context of the development which is taking place. Right? Now that will be consulted on, we recognise that. But we think we can make a strong case that we are a responsible group of Durham University students who know how to behave and how to operate a licence on premises. If we're not, we don't deserve it, frankly. We can do that. So we need to make that case, but at the moment we can't put that application in because we haven't reached an agreement over us being the potential holders of that licence. That licence process takes about 3 months. We want to apply for that as soon as we can. As I say, I'm going up the road now to talk with the local residents about this. Is this just about the bar?
Yes.
I'm almost there, but...
What measures are being made to soundproof it?
Okay, we need to pick that up in terms of the design. We have talked actually with the architects around how that would work. Yeah.
And we don't know where it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And other students on the side.
Yes.
Well, since March 20th, University, because we did those years I've lived in Temple's Cross, and every other week I got a letter in my letterbox that said, we do not want students at Sheraton Park, we do not want alcohol, we do not want noise, please sign a petition, etc., etc., to oppose it. The residents are, and I cannot stress this much, incredibly strongly opposed. And they opposed the little, for those who have been at Neville's Cross, has been a new build on the old mine club site. They opposed that with real vigour, and I mean,
I think what I hear you, that you've been there, you're a long time in terms of where you've been in the university. I think quite a lot of that time, the development was being talked about not in terms of our involvement with it. Durham University's involved with it.
It's still got planning.
It's still got planning commission.
And alcohol in general.
Okay.
Can
I note that we've got a job to do with the residents? Okay, that's what we're working on.
I wouldn't expect them to be positive.
But what Anthony means is that if it's not a college, it doesn't become a college, it's just an accommodation block full of students that aren't regulated.
That's not what we're doing. We don't want that.
That's what I mean, so you don't want people to put people there without, college community seeing them. You don't
Exactly.
want to, is that what I'm trying to say?
Totally with you. We want to make this work. We want this to be a fantastic college, rooted in a community, in a way which has got great facilities. That's what we want to do. We don't want this to be an enclave of students who have got no association or affiliation with the university, or with a college, shall I say, or with the people in which they live, the city in which they're based. You're going to put your hand up and say, get a move on, Anthony.
Sorry. No, I was going to say just a very quick one. If after those 3 months, after this gone through, the permission was denied to have a bar there, would Ustinov move there?
Yeah, I can't answer that. That's an if. You can ask me hundreds of ifs. We are absolutely determined to make this work. Okay, absolutely determined. We recognise the importance of this, and as far as I'm concerned, this will work. We will make it work. Right? I can't guarantee, I can't say to you, if it's not granted, X and Y will happen. If it's not granted, we'll deal with that. That's an issue which council will need to weigh up as a risk, and may want to have some mitigation around that risk.
Look, we're going to need student beds in Durham City. We're committed to a collegiate way forward. So that means putting bars, putting cultural space, putting mixing space, putting sports facilities in those areas.
Yeah.
This looks like our best bet from there. Yes, there will be issue with residents. I'm a Durham City resident myself. I know a lot of I have a lot of people walking past my house drunk at 4 o'clock in the morning and such like. And I go to these residents' association meetings, and you always get a split there. Vast majority of people really welcome having students in the city because it makes Durham a vibrant place that we choose to live in anyway. And you always get people say, oh, we want this over my dead body. But actually, if there is a balanced view, if this is actually something which is a college rather than what they feel really are all of residents, then I think we've got a good chance of bringing the people round. But I think you're doing everything you can because you're going up and meeting.
Well, this will be the start of a number. And there are different groups of us who could meet with the residents. You might want to come with me to meet with the residents.
But from a council point of view at the moment, that issue about what we do with Sheraton, we need it as some sort of college facility in Durham City. In some respects, that for me is independent of who goes into that facility.
Right, okay.
Mine's a philosophical question behind the bar. I think it really matters if I ask it. If a university can't guarantee the provision of facilities on site that are available in all the other Durham City colleges, like a bar or a formal space as well.
So a formal space is not available in all other colleges.
Okay, but it is available for us right now, so it would be a downgrade. Okay. So then there is a lack of parity, which borders on discrimination against postgraduates. And this is extremely hard for me to say because that's my student Chris right there. He's an undergraduate. I love undergraduates. I want the best experience for them in this university. But we cannot let postgraduates be treated like second-class citizens, which is exactly what is happening in this entire process.
Okay, I hear you. Okay. Yes?
So, even if we are able to convince a majority of the residents in that area that for us to have the license and for us to have the bar there,
yeah.
As long as there's one or two not satisfied,
yeah.
that could be an issue. It could be a security issue. It could be an issue where they might take out their, lack of a better word, anger, the fact that students have invaded their place, which is not making it safe for students.
Yeah. Okay.
So just because a majority like it, it just needs one crazy person to do one crazy thing.
We have, so with all respect, we have those kind of issues around our colleges in Durham. Occasionally they flare up. Security issues on the site. The police have commended this site with the proposals because of the very high level of security which will be on the site, both in terms of the portering, but also in terms of triple entry by car to get into any of the areas where the students will be. So the whole place will be CCTV'd. It will be, the police have commended the plans for how they address security. Okay, let me move on. I talked about one side, which is the social space. This is the administrative side in Neville House. That's the entry. There's a principal's office. There's a staff office. There's meeting rooms. There's a private meeting area for students to meet if we need to close it off. There's office, welfare centre, and so on, which will be available in a way that's. I think that's. If I say that's probably the 10th iteration of that plan, which we've worked on with Glenn over the last few months to get that there, such that it's going to provide the space around things that you need, or our college needs, around the operation of the staff who will be on site. That is it. So, what about the other facilities which we're proposing to be in Sheraton Park? There's no doubt. Who here has been up on site? Did some of you go up? I mean, the bedroom accommodation, the kitchen accommodation will be of a good standard. It'll be of a very good standard. I hope we can get more students with an opportunity to go up onto the site. We're exploring the possibility of us having a number of visits where students can go up and see the site. Was it helpful to see it? Yeah,
it was reassuring. Yeah.
Yeah, it was reassuring, was it?
Yeah.
So we will. Okay, let me roll through this. There's a common student common area which is like for like the same size as what you have at the moment on Howlands. We will get a licensed bar cafe in there. If not, council will have a keen interest in what the consequences are for that, as you will. There's a fitness suite. I'll come on to some of the other sports things in a minute. There's a graduate office. We've got two large visitor rooms, 2 large fellow rooms. That's more pro rata than is currently the case at Ustinov. There are bespoke college staff offices that I've just referred to. There will be excellent internet provision. There will be a seminar room which we will have some shared access, which we need to determine the nature of that shared access with some of the local residents. But that's in addition to the social space area which we have. Let me just come on to the sport issue. I was asked about the cricket nets. I can't give you an answer to that at the moment. I will go and think about how we might do it. Or if you've got ideas, we can talk about it.
Yeah, well, the main thing is I don't want to be just in a nearby sports hall that we have to
I
share
hear you.
and I don't want to be restricted by their opening hours and have to share it. But at the moment,
Yeah,
we can
I know what you want is a lot, and I hear that.
What we've got is
Yeah, what you have now, as all of our colleges around the university, are fantastic facilities. Right? And it's quite right that you should want to have fantastic facilities. That's what we're trying to do here. Let me just move on from here, can I just talk through? This is an old photograph of the Sheraton Park plan. That's Neville House. This is now been demolished and is the Sheraton building. Some things we're looking at the moment is, up here, there is a large sports field. That sports field belongs to part of the development. And we're looking at the moment to see if we can buy that. We will certainly be able to manage that, but we're looking to see whether or not we can use that. Can I go through the sports and I'll wrap those questions up in one, if I can, please. The second thing is, there is, on the archery site here, there are all-weather tennis courts, which we own. Durham University owns these. They are operated by a club under licence to us. We have agreement with them in terms of our access to them and the hours that we have. We're in discussion with them to increase the hours around that, such that this can be a facility which is of specific use for we're used not to go here, to Ustinov. They also have an outdoor sand-based mugger pitch, and at Durham School, which is located here, so it's a short distance down the hill, there's a swimming pool, which again we're exploring whether we can, and we think we will be able to get an agreement of access, and I think this is probably the only college in Durham which would have this, into some access to a swimming pool facility which is close to the site. So this, I haven't got an answer to the cricket option, and I'm not going to put a swimming pool in every college, we can't, but we are trying to look at how we can provide access to a range of sports facilities, both adjacent to the site, in the site, and slightly further afield. And we're trying to be as creative as we can, and I welcome ideas about other options which we might be able to explore. Yes?
So, regarding the field that you're pointing to there, if the university buys that, you know that's currently publicly accessible by the residents.
Yeah.
Are you going to be bringing that up in your meeting with them tonight?
Yes. Yes, I'm going to. Because there are a number of options that we could do there. We can add value to what is a field by putting in, we can develop that in a number of ways should we wish to. And I would expect that to be a facility which the residents will have some access to. We're not, as a university, we're not closed door. We already do that. If you look at the mugger which is going up on Collingwood, that's going to have some shared access, some shared Durham City resident access to it. We look at our whole sports strategy. We do that in partnership, as we do at Queen's, with local communities who we feel we are part of. So yes, I expect that will be the case. Okay, yes.
But surely with like with taking over this sort of these other facilities, it still is going to cause some conflict between students and the residents on an everyday level.
So,
like, how is the university planning on reconciling that?
By working with them.
Yeah.
By us working with those residents. The residents may say, we categorically don't want this. Right? I don't know. They might say that.
Excuse me, I think the question was, when you say working with them, what are you going to do? What are you going to say?
Right now, we're going to have a discussion around that.
Every single question that you've been asked, it's just vague. I hear you.
Okay, give me some specifics, and I'll try and answer you now.
Well, no, I'll try to do.
Okay, we will have meetings with the Residents Association where we listen to what their interests are and we explore, that's what I'm doing, with all respect.
So, there's nothing, do you understand who you're talking to? We're not stupid. I don't think anyone in here believes the words you said. You said that the reason... Sorry.
Okay. Sorry. I heard you on.
No, sorry. You said that the reason that the university needs 6,000 new undergraduates is to make the university better. But that's not how you make the university better. That's how you make the university more profitable.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
This is about.
No, it's not.
You're alive.
We need money to invest in world-class education, world-class student experience, and world-class research. We can't do that unless we generate additional revenue. Now, our academic staff are going to go out and increase their research income revenue. That's one of our sources of income. We can also get revenue from student fees. That's how this university funds itself. We no longer get huge fat grants from government. You're paying for this.
We know.
Yeah, I know. I know. When I was a student, I didn't. I count myself extremely lucky.
So rather than oppose like Tory.
Oh, no, that's
You are treating
we can't build an indoor facility here. What I want to do, though, is, again, we're Durham School. Durham School are open to having some discussions with us. And in fact, tomorrow, Quentin, who's the head of University Sport, is going there to talk to them around whether or not we might be able to get some access to some indoor facilities, along with the swimming pool and some of this other things. So,
be restricted then by their own.
well, they're not going to, yes, of course, they're not just going to put that open, but equally, if I'm honest with you, we're not going to be able to build a new sports hall for a single college at this site.
So Sheraton is a downgrade from Harvard's Farm.
In that respect, if you view it, and you don't view it as in any way compensating for that, if you wish to reach that conclusion, that's your call. Yes, you'd be very patient.
You've told us that you're so determined to make this work, and we've been told previously, just keep being told to be open-minded. I just want to know if you're equally determined to look at other options and possibilities, because we don't want to go to Sheraton Park, and we have what we need here at Howlands. And so I just want to know, does our opinion actually matter? Because being a great university also includes having happy students. And
yes, it does.
And so, I mean, if you're uprooting an entire college that doesn't want to go, I just feel like we're not being heard.
We are going through a consultation around a proposal.
It's just,
okay?
It seems like the effort is, we're going to do all we can to make Sheraton Park work for you. And it's not, we want to make you happy. It just seems like you're doing everything you can to make it work.
Do you know what? I really do believe that this is a difficult time in the university because we're going through big change. We're going through big change with the Queen's colleges moving up here, with all the departments coming up here. We've got a big change on the way. But that's unsettling. We're going to go through some periods of ups and downs. But I really do believe that what we could create here could be a really fantastic college experience and location for Ustinov College. It will be different, just as people had this conversation when you were moving from Parsons House. Right? Just as when that happened, I don't know if anyone was here when that went on, but that was a period of upheaval, and you moved here, and you did it. You created a college identity. Because we're in a different, the world moves on.
Yeah.
World moves on. Okay. I'm going to roll through, and then I'll open up. I was conscious of, we've got another 20 minutes or so, very nearly there. You want to talk about this as well, which is common study space and dining. There will not be dining facility, a dining hall in Sheraton Park. There will not be that. The model will not work in that way. Our proposal is that in Dobbs there is a very high quality dining facility which will be available for your formal experience. Now, we have got other colleges which operate on this basis. You may see this as a diminution in terms of the quality of your experience. John Snow College to Waterside, 790 metres. Green Lane to Cuss, 840 at 50 metres. Depending which route you want to take, 720, 870 metres. We're doing our best to create a place where you'll be able, which isn't used by any other college, but which is a dining facility where you'll be able to have your functions that you wish to have on site. You talked about, are you going to be out on a limb? I might deliberately cut you off the rest of the time. I haven't at all. If we look at where you're located, or where Sheraton Park is, I've mapped out what the walk distance is into a couple of places. I just thought, well, let's see where it's the main line to Durham Cathedral. The walk distance, Sheraton to the Cathedral, walk distance is 1.5 kilometres. Ustinov to the Cathedral is 1.9. Sheraton to the University is 200 metres difference across the two of them. Now, that's fine for me to say go and walk it or go and bike it, but you've got to park and ride outside Howlands, and that park and ride takes you around the place. So what we're doing at the moment is we're looking at how we can address the connectivity of that site with, for example, getting into the university library area. So there is, as part of the development proposal, as part of the development proposal, they have to put in a fully lit cycleway connecting from here down onto Potter's Bank. In addition, we're looking at whether or not we can work with Arriva North East or Go North East to negotiate a change in the existing bus routes, which might better connect this location with other parts of the university. We could ask them to put on a new route, or we could ask a private operator to do that if we needed to. And also, we need to see this in the context of the wider university estate planning that we're doing, where one of the key things we've got to do is work out a travel plan for the city, mindful of the growth in student numbers and the changes which I outlined to you at the beginning. And as part of that, we're going to be looking at how we move staff and students around the city. And this is something which we will work into that as well. Come on, thank you.
Okay, so I just wanted to go back about the discussion about student numbers and its growth. I want to step back and try to understand the new academic strategy, because I really care about this institution. It's not only about Ustinov, it's also about Durham University, right? And you said that, well, this new academic strategy is based on the assumption that student growth is going to create a world-class, or you're going to be able to deliver world-class education and research. And usually the definition of world-class is being imposed by what we know as rankings or the tables, right? Yeah. And I recently did a report for a French university, which I cannot disclose a name for commercial sensitivity using your name.
I'm not very happy with that.
Actually, one of the things we did was just looking at the relationship between student body numbers and a position in the rankings. There is no relationship whatsoever. Yeah. On the contrary, the only university which is extremely big in the top positions is UCL. The others are really small. Yeah. Right? So I just don't understand. Yeah. I just want to criticize the assumption by itself, because I don't think it will work.
That's a really interesting. I was going to say I'd love to see the report. Did you look at the relationship between staff numbers and research?
Yes, and actually what happens is the staff and student ratio that has a relationship. Okay. But so in order to grow the student numbers and reduce the student ratio, you need to hire a lot of people.
Yeah. So staff-student ratio is important. There's also a fairly clear relationship in the subjects which we've identified for student number growth around the size of a department in terms of its academic staff and its research mass, its research performance. We call it critical mass. Small departments generally don't perform as well in various assessments that you're alluding to as large departments. And so what we've been doing is looking at how we can marry those subject areas which are high tariff, very good students, with departments which currently are too small to be really world class because they lack that critical mass. That's the motivation around how we're thinking about which areas will grow. We're not just looking at student number growth against performance. It's student number growth as a way to enable us to, and other activities, research on income generation, addressing our cost base, for example, as a way to drive up research performance, improvement in the education, investment in our state and student experience. We have, I'd love to share some of this somehow, and I think we need to take this away about some of the underpinning rationale behind why the student number growth is important to us.
So the other thing, Anthony, is our desire from council to actually maintain a balanced university. Yeah. Because one of the other approaches we could have taken is to narrow the range of subjects that we deal, and we could kind of liberal arts call it, university or something like that. But we think one of the USPs about Durham is that we don't do every subject, every field, but we have a balance across our three faculties in there, which is very important to the overall experience. So we can
Thanks, Alexis. I'm not going to go into that anymore because I want us to focus on Sheraton and on the Ustinov at the moment. That's a wider discussion that we can have. You are going to want to know about finances. The details of the financial model are not yet finalised because we haven't signed a contract, right? Because we haven't got an agreement with council that this is an option which we're going to run with. Excuse me. They are for, the details of the finances are for consideration by the University Executive, by the University Finance and General Purposes Committee, and by University Council. Those are the bodies that deal with the numbers. Alice, who's here, represents the student body on the last two, as the President of the Students' Union, on the last two of those, on Finance and General Purposes and on University Council. So Alice is your in on that. She's your representative as the details of that are worked through. What we can say, though, is that the rates for current Ustinov College students who move to Sheraton Park, were we to do that, will be pegged to the equivalent postgraduate rate at hours. Okay? So that is what we are saying. We recognise if this goes ahead, some of you may have additional costs not of your making. And that's not fair. Right? So we want to try and work to find out what that additional cost might be, and we will look to offset that. Okay, I'm going to summarise because we're into questions then. I'll take the other hands which are up. This is, we in this room are part of a really exciting time in the university's history. We have not had a period of change like this in 25 years, when the Hill colleges were last established, across the institution as a whole. This is an exciting time where you, each one of you in this room, are part of that. Okay? It's really important. The changes which are going to happen are very significant across Durham University. Sheraton Park and the proposals which we're considering here are part of those changes. We've heard about the Queen's relocation, about SMPH going to Newcastle. We've heard about academic departments being upped and moved as well. We've heard about new colleges being built. We've heard about significant investment in new student experience. This is part of that, moving Ustinov College potentially into Sheraton Park. We need your help if we get it right, and we need your help to get this right. And as I say, this is one of a large number of interrelated decisions and moves that will shape the future of the university. Right, I'm stopping. I'm conscious, I'm thinking back to the questions that we had, the issues which were raised. I'm thinking, which of those have we either inadequately answered these first order issues? Lack of consultation, I'm going to be honest, I hope I've explained, you may not agree with me, but I hope I've explained why that happened. I hope I've clarified what this consultation is and is not about. I hope I've done that. Student numbers and composition. We've talked about the fact that the proposals will see a reduction in student numbers. We've not talked about composition. What we will do is work with the college to look at that student composition so that we can come up with something which works for the college. We will do that. And I've had discussions with Glenn around that already, and that will be part of a broader set of discussions with the colleges across the university. The lack of access to facilities. I talked, I think, about formals, about jobs, around social space, couples rooms, couple rooms. There is some diversity in terms of the composition of the rooms in Sheraton Park, and the college is still keeping its other accommodation, which it has at present in off-site locations. Car park, I've not touched on. There is some car parking provision in the plans. I forget exactly how many car parking spaces there are, but there are some in there. I can answer that more specifically. We can put that on FAQ following this up. Music room, we haven't talked about. There isn't a music room. You currently have a music room. How strongly do you feel about that? Okay, right. We will try and work around that, around seeing if we can sort music room out.
Just on that point, sorry to interrupt, but the formals, I just received confirmation from Sherman Miller, and we currently have space for 220 people at Ustinov formals. In the business school, that will be reduced to 120.
No, it won't be 120, it's higher than that. In terms of
I
number of
got
colours.
an email from the person in charge.
Right, fine. We'll have a discussion with that offline. There are different ways in which that space can be configured. I've had discussions with ENB at some length over this. I know the site, council meets there, we have large functions in there, so I personally know, and other people here know how big that is. That's being noted down as a particular issue which we'll get back to you on. Project timeline, I haven't addressed that, but we can perhaps put that in FAQ. Planning permission around the flexibility about what we require. The main planning flexibility that we want to get sorted out at the moment, at this point in time, is the licensing issue around getting that done. We will have to seek a modification to planning around the extension of the social space at the back of the Neville's house. We think that won't be a problem, but that's another contingency which council will seek assurance over. GRC investment, we've asked to have a record of how much investment has been made in what facilities. If we can have that, we'll sit down with you and we'll look at that and we'll see how best we can come up with a way to progress that forward from here. We recognise that you've done that. Other options, I've talked about those, and I've talked about the consultation on this proposal and what may happen down the track, depending on what council's view is. Noise distance, we've done that. Transport, integration with other colleges in the community. I haven't really talked about other colleges. I have talked a bit about integration with the community. We've had a bit of discussion around that. That is really important. This site does provide a really good place to have a good grounded location within Durham City, a community. You can view that as a negative, or can you view that as a plus? I would certainly view it as a plus. We are important people in the city as part of the wider community.
What about other colleges, though?
I'm sorry?
What about integration with other colleges then?
Okay, so this is very interesting. The College Principals Heads Board, we have discussions around how the changes around Queen's colleges coming to Durham will work. And there's a very positive attitude around developing plans for integration of colleges as they go through transitions. And I think that's precisely what we will need to do. There is a very strong commitment at the highest level in terms of the principals of the university, of the colleges, to make these changes work. We recognise that we'll have to do things, but we can be creative around this in terms of how we get relationships established in different ways.
We're right next to JP right now.
Yes, you are. But you and your nearest neighbour, were this to go ahead, would be St Aidan's.
But they're right next to Van Hilbert. You see, we're all
Which
there
is
together.
next to what will be...
Fred St Mary's are together,
Yeah.
Ray and Collingwood are
Yeah.
together, we're with JP.
Yeah.
We don't, we just
Yeah,
be
so,
like,
okay.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
How's transition of facilities? JB, I haven't talked about the transitions. I can do that, because that was a point that came up at PressCon. I've got some slides, I can talk through that. Why Ustinov? Well, I hope I've explained. Ustinov is a postgraduate college. It's about the right size of numbers. We think that it's a good fit for Sheraton because of the quality of the facilities, because of the length, 51 weeks, which works, and because it releases a large number of self-catered beds to be used for student number growth around Durham University. And it's academic strategy, which is an absolute driver behind a lot of our thoughts. Staffing, I haven't answered that. At the moment, we are looking at the options for how staffing will work. There are two models. Well, first of all, the student-facing staff will move to, they will be operating out of the new location. I think the question mark is around what happens to what we call the soft FM, the soft facilities management, the porters, the cleans and so on. We are looking at that. There are two models. One is that we provide that in-house. The other is that that is provided by a private party. At the moment, we haven't reached a decision on that. But I know the strength of feeling around the importance of those staff as being part of the community which makes up the college. I also am aware about some of the changes which happen in working places, practices around the university in terms of how they operate, which makes us a much more competitive provider than we were in the past. So we're going to look at that very, very closely. That has not been determined at this point in time. And then the running and the ownership of the building. I haven't talked about the nature of the nominations agreement. The nominations agreement will be for 25 years in the first instance. We have got, we're in discussion about the specific natures of that nomination agreement. It's what we call a rolling nominations agreement, which gives us the right to nominate up to 418 beds in that facility as we move through the period of the 25 years. Okay. We've got this, I did this partly, so we've got a list which we can then use as a basis for an FAQ which we can develop after this. Do you want to do JB, please? Quickly, I'm thinking, Adrian, this is something we could do more fully, perhaps with a JB particular meeting.
I am a little concerned that we've heard very strongly voices from Ustinov that talked a lot about it, which is quite right. I think they're clearly one of the most effective colleges. Snow and Stevenson are just as effective as Ustinov are. And I don't think they've really had a chance to talk through. Butler, with the best in the world, we're not quite as effective. And also, this is a bad time of year to have good student representation. Which I understand why things happen like that. But I think it would be useful for us to have perhaps a meeting where Snow, Stevenson and Butler have an opportunity to have just the same time.
I'd expect us, I mean, we'll go to Queen's as soon as we can around that. I'm happy to work with you about how we make that happen. And you are invited to come to that meeting as well as you have come to this. Okay. Sorry, you had a question as well.
Why did you say through costs when you went through this discussion?
Because I talked about how the rental structure will operate, and I explained how the finances will be managed through the university, through the executive, through finance and
students.
Sorry?
That's for students, not new students.
Sorry?
You said that, but that's for students, isn't it? That's new transitioning.
Yes.
That's only for new students that would
Yeah,
already
but we have existing processes within the university for setting rent levels across the university. This would just be part of that. There will be that rent setting takes place.
So good, because that will also be great.
Yeah.
You're already practicing.
Over a 50. Yeah.
Every other college doesn't have that.
Remember that image? That was the arm wrestle image, where I said, what's in it for us? What's in it for a private provider? And I said, two areas that we've been working very hard at is facilities and price. Okay.
So we were told in the previous meeting that there would be only ensuite rooms at Sheraton Park.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
Then how do you get across this match between the two sites when a huge proportion of the students who already been across it out, but they will have to, we've got from £150 a week I pay, I think, to £200.
So what I said is that no student who moves will be adversely affected by that pricing. So we will need to work that out with the individual students who will be affected by that to make corrections for that to take place.
Any options for cheaper accommodation based on the fact that they don't have?
No, but you don't, you and I don't yet know what the overall pricing point will be here. So I'm giving the assurance which we have at the moment. That will be a discussion across the university as a whole, which takes place through established processes.
Yeah, and it's something we're really interested about, differential pricing, so that we, because we've got a whole accessibility issue.
Okay.
To address, so
I've got 1 minute.
So
Then
it's outside the discussion.
Then I need to go. I'm going to come to, actually, I'm going to go here to the president, your college president, and ask, because I'd like you to, if you've got any thoughts which you'd like to say from a Queen's perspective, and then a JB, I've got a JB point here as well, and then I've really got to run. So can I come to you first of all?
Yeah, I just have, I mean, I know that there is a wider sort of university strategy that is looking to sort of benefit students in the future, but all I keep hearing is about how it's basically all about the students in the future. But the people sitting in this room are current students, are students who will be affected by the transition.
Yes.
And students who, at one point, I mean, I know one part of the transition, Howland's site will be shared by 4 colleges. I mean, that is a stretch. I mean, we already kind of make it work with Howland's as it is, but I was in a meeting earlier before this. I met with the 2 QC presidents, the JPMCR and JCR president and the DSU president. We had a meeting, and that was something that I think, above all, like I know that at Ustinov, a lot of people are opposed to the move, but I think one thing that we're not even thinking about is what that year is going to look like and how difficult, especially for Ustinov, that it's going to be to operate on 2 sites at the same time, and what that's going to mean for our welfare, for the GCR, for the way that students are represented, and the way students feel part of a community. I mean, and there's also the issue with the QC colleges potentially losing their own identity, being forced into one area where they both are 2 distinct colleges with 2 distinct identities. We keep referring to them as Queen's campus colleges, but they're John Snow and Stevenson. They're not one entity.
Absolutely. And they will not be that.
And I'm just wondering, in terms of execution, how that's going to play out and how
Okay, so that's a detailed implementation thing which we put a lot of thought into, which I think we'll pick up at probably a Howland's discussion together with the Queen's colleges. But I'm not going to do that in a minute now. Okay, yes. So,
we talked earlier in this meeting about what happens. The 2 Queen's campus colleges are currently believe that they will move in, but only for a short period of time. So after the one college moves to a new site, that other college won't remain there for very long. Is that the plan?
It depends. We haven't taken that decision. That's something we will agree with the 2 colleges concerned. There are new colleges which will be developed elsewhere on the university. It will be up to those colleges to decide what they want to do. One of them may want to stay on the site. Both of them may wish to move down track. We'll see. Okay, can I come to the 2? I'm going to close this, so you might as well put your arms down because I've got to go. Can I come to the 2 colleges, Snow and Stevenson? Is there anything you'd like to say?
I really don't really have anything to add, I don't think. I just want to say, in terms of Ustinov operating on 2 sites, it's probably going to be quite like we're going to manage on 2 sites, 27 miles apart, so it's manageable to do it both in general.
Okay, thank you very much. Right.
Actually, we have 3 because we still have a key in house.
I'm aware of that. You will still have that. I'm closing the meeting now.
When is the next one? We want to meet Q&A, please. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Yeah. We will make some arrangements for the next meeting. I'm sorry, we've got to draw this to a close. Thanks a lot for coming. And we will pick up a lot of the points which have been raised. We'll develop that into material, we'll put available online. We'll make sure that is fed back as part of the consultation into the process. Thank you.
Dude,